Hello and welcome to the Cool Grandpa Podcast. This is your host Greg Payne coming at you from Studio 12. This podcast is about being the best possible grandpa you can be, focusing on what it is to be a grandpa and how we can all share that experience together for our grandchildren. Hi and welcome into autumn. Autumn is now upon us up here in the northern hemisphere. We're starting to get a little cooler. Leaves are going to start changing pretty soon. We're going to be having those days where you're jumping between throwing on the AC and then cranking up the heat. This is just a great time of year. I love fall. I love autumn. I love how everything is still changing, still in flux. You know, we're not into the cold, dreary winter months yet. We still have a lot of sunshine and we're still out there getting after it when it comes to our ambitions for the year. We still have time to go clean up that yard if we haven't done that through the summer. We still have opportunities to go out and hike if we want to go do some hiking, if we're short a hike or two on our goals. There's a lot that we can still do this time of year. Now, I do want to take this opportunity for our one-on-one conversations to talk to you about goals. And what I wanted to do was jump in early before all the end of the year conversations about goals. Now, before you skip forward to the next podcast you have in your queue, what I want to do is be able to talk to you a little bit about this challenge that I was on. So in Dan Miller's 48 Days group, he challenged us to listen to the audio recording of The Strangest Secret. He wanted us not just to listen to it once or twice. He really wanted us to listen to it for 30 days straight. So this month of September, every single day, I've been listening to this 35-minute audio recording of The Strangest Secret. And it's been a really fascinating discovery about how we think in terms of having goals. Sometimes we think of it as, those are nice. I don't know. But what was great about this is that it really got me to think in terms of needing to put more intention into goals. Now, if you're like me, a lot of times when I hear about goals, I kind of zone out because I think a lot of people that I've worked with and worked for over the years, they use goals for work as a way of saying, hey, this is what you're not doing great on. So next year, work on this and then be better. And I'm not fully bought in on that. Sometimes I am. I mean, sometimes I've had good managers and good leaders that have inspired me to try to, I don't want to say it. Okay, I'm going to say it. Level up my game at work and try to do better, try to focus more on details, try to do better with customer interactions, whatever that might be. I have paid attention, but by and large, when it's time for annual reviews and it's saying, hey, let's get goals down, most of the time I zone out. Because most of the time when it comes back around for the next year, we're just basically cramming numbers in. We're trying to get HR off our back because that's the game that's being played, right? And that's the game, at least, that was being played while I was working for a number of organizations. Now, what's really shifted for me over the last few years has been really being able to put together this idea of having a real vision for how my life needs to be, how I want it to be. And also, too, being able to take more control over it, right? I'm trying to be more inward directed, trying to focus in on what I can control. And being able to not allow things outside of my control or the outside world to be the result of what's going great and what's going wrong. And there's certainly things that happen that are outside of my control. It's outside of everybody's control. I mean, you can't control if there's a layoff at your organization. You can't control if you have a health crisis. You can't control a number of things. But what I do think we can do is control our reactions to those, but we can also control kind of the direction we're going. One of the great things about listening to The Strangest Secret is there's a great phrase in there where the person's talking, Norman Vincent Peale is talking about what success is. And he boils it down to success is the progressive realization of worthwhile goals. So it's not even necessarily when it comes to goals that you're achieving the goals. It's about being able to continue to work towards some goals. And maybe that could be something where the goal is to be an awesome grandfather. Maybe the goal is to be a fantastic mom. Maybe the goal is to be the best manager you can be and best leader at work that you can be. Whatever the goal is, that's what success is if you're working on it, you're moving forward, you're progressively realizing what that goal is. Part of what they talk about in The Strangest Secret is being able to sit down, write out a single goal, and being able to put that in a card and put that in your pocket so that when you're out and you pull out your wallet, you also see that goal. You're always thinking about it. You're thinking about it in the morning. You're thinking about it in the evening. You're thinking about it during the day. And then you're being able to just keep your mind on what that goal is. Now, last year, I can tell you, I created like 12 different goals for myself. And I'm okay with creating those goals. And after a year going back through, realizing that I've totally hit about 3 or 4 of those things. 4 or 5 of them I've been working on and I've been progressing towards. And then a couple of them, I would say I'm still on the ground floor for those things. Now, one of the ones that I'm still on the ground floor for was I had a goal of getting a 1970 Corvette Series 3 that had automatic transmission, power everything, convertible, blue body, white top. Now, with this particular goal that I'm sharing with you, I have been looking for those Corvettes, and I have been sifting through that. And I've even been okay with going a year before, so 1969, or a year after 1971. But the Series 3 1970 is what I'm really looking for because I want to build up some awesome memories with my grandkids in a Corvette that was made the same year that, dear old granddad was born. And I thought that would be absolutely cool to be able to run them up to the store for an ice cream or take them on a cross-country trip or go run around, and sometime when they're old enough, toss them the keys, let them go burn some tires, and really enjoy that, because the ability to have kids enjoy a car from the 70s is going to be extremely rare, but that's going to be an awesome memory that we can have together. So that's a goal of mine. Get a 1970 C3 Corvette, blue body, white top, and make sure that it has the chrome bumpers on it. And I'm okay with just having that as a goal I had to start that process. Now, some of the other ones totally have hit and have really worked hard to make those things happen. Now, I think that 12 goals is way too much. And I think I kind of was not as focused as I should have been. And so my advice and what I'm going to be doing this next year is really focusing in on Zig Ziglar's Wheel of Life. Now, the Wheel of Life, for those of you that don't know it, he's got 7 different, let's call them spokes. And if any one spoke is not as much as the other one. It's just like a spoke on a wheel where all of a sudden that wheel gets all wonky, it gets lopsided, doesn't go very well, right? So the wheel of life, according to Zig Zigler, is that you need to have your mental health in balance, some kind of spiritual connection there, however you want to define that and however you want that to move forward. Physical, family, financial, personal, and career. Now, going back to The Strangest Secret, Norman Vincent Peale talks about just having a single goal and not being diverted off of that goal. And totally get that. But I totally also think that there's room that we can all have a goal that fits within each one of those 7 categories. So this year, what I'm doing is instead of 12, I'm paring that down to 5. 7. And I'm eliminating 5. Now, what this is going to look like for me is that I'm going to have one of those goals for each spoke. And then that's going to kind of, feed up into one overall goal. Kind of would love to have you think about what kind of goal do you want for this year, for the next year coming up. If we were to meet again next year, how would your life be different? How would you have seen some improvement? And can you make out a single goal for each one of those parts of the wheel of life? And I've got those listed out in the show notes. So if you're out running around and you forget these things, it's a great way to go back over to the show notes, check out some of the links I have around the power of goals, also different approaches to goals. And folks, everybody's going to have some different approaches. I mean, Dan Miller's got one where he's talking about if he was to meet you 3 years down the road, what would your life have changed in order for you to be happy, right? And so he's wanting you to think in terms of what's going to be happening in 3 years. But then he breaks it down too with what's going to be your year 1 goals, what's going to be your year 2 goals, what's going to be your year 3 goals, so that you're the person 3 years down the road that you're wanting to be. And there's a number of different people that have, like I said, different processes, different ways of doing this. And that's great. What I want you to do is think about what's going to work for you. At the very simplest level, what would be great is for you to join me. And even if you write down a single goal, put it on a 3x5 card, get it laminated, maybe get a couple of those cards, and then keep one in your pocket, keep one on your nightstand, keep one at your desk, so that every single day you're taking a look at those, that goal is front and center with you. Now, I want to shift gears a little bit with some ideas about how you can use goals as a connection with your grandchildren. I think goals is a great way to build a connection point with your grandchildren. Now, they're going to have to be older. I mean, I've got a 5-year-old grandson. That's the oldest one I've got. So he and I are not going to really be building up, a shared goal together. However, by the time they're maybe around 10, 11, 12, this might be a great activity for you to do. And one of the things that you can do is work with the folks, work with the grandchild, figure out what's something that they want to work on, something that they need to work on, and then create a goal together. Now, that goal could be physical, right? It could be, hey, maybe the kid's getting a little too much screen time and on the couch a little bit too much. So maybe you come up with a goal that you're going to walk 100 miles this year. And what you do is you both have that goal. You both check in with each other from time to time. Maybe you have some joint hikes where you can knock out some of those miles together. Maybe you do some other things that go back and forth. And I wouldn't overdo this, but I think coming up with a couple of different goals and using just one with that grandchild would be about right. And that could even be something like if they're learning a new instrument. Maybe you've always wanted to learn how to play guitar. Maybe you learn how to play guitar and they're learning how to play saxophone or trumpet or clarinet or whatever it is, drums. And what the goal is for that year is that you're going to have so much practice time throughout the year. And then you're going to be able to share how you're doing. So it becomes a little bit of an accountability partner with your grandchild where they can start to really ask you, hey, granddad, have you been out exercising? Hey, granddad, have you been working on X? Have you been doing this? And you can do the same thing with them, especially when it comes to text messaging, right? How quick and easy is that when you have a shared goal of, reading 12 books this year that aren't assigned for English class or language arts, whatever they're calling it these days. And you can be going through and you can just be texting, hey, I just finished Count of Monte Cristo. Hey, I just finished Catcher in the Rye. Hey, I just finished Field of Dreams. It doesn't all have to be classic literature. Some of the stuff can be really fun too. And you can just kind of text each other back and forth. And you just keep that connection going. And that's using goals and starting to get them to think about goals that they use in their lives so that they kind of get a sense of accomplishment, that they get a little bit of self-discipline, and that they start to be able to see that, hey, putting some direction and self-direction into their life is a good thing. So I hope this has kind of inspired you. I hope it's kind of hit you before you get all the other goal, podcasts and radio shows and everything else out there. And what I'd like you to do is I want to challenge you to have some goals written out and have them done by the end of October so that when you roll into November, it's done. You can enjoy the end of the year. You can get into Thanksgiving. You can get into all the year-end holidays. You don't have to worry about it. You're not sitting at January 5th trying to stress out about wanting to do New Year's resolutions, trying to figure out goals for next year. It's done. This is a great opportunity as the summer's starting to wind down, as fall is in the air, to really sit down and reflect and use whatever method works for you to create some goals so that you can continue to be the awesome grandfather that I know you are. I'd love for you to shoot me a note. Let me know what your goals are. If I can help you out, if I can be an accountability partner for you, let me know. I'm here to help you. I want you to be awesome. I know you are. And if there's anything I can do to help you out, let me know, reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to meet with you, more than happy to encourage you, more than happy just to be there and share some awesome stories about your goals, your dreams for the future. So until next time, remember to stay cool. Thank you for listening to the Cool Grandpa Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do me a favor and share it with a friend. That's the best way you can help us to expand our community, as well as get the news out about how valuable grandpas are in the lives of those kids. If you'd like to leave me a comment or shoot me a potential topic for this podcast, please go to www.cool-grandpa.us. Look for the comments tab, fill it out, hit submit. It's as easy as that. Until next time, remember to stay cool.